H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.
Okay, so in order to get a new connection, you just say new connection here, and you have to give the connection name, username, and the password. Okay, and you have to give the SID and XC out here. Okay, if you see the same screen out here, you have to use the same.
Yeah, I see the same screen.
And do you see XC? Did you give XC, or I believe by default you will get it as XC here.
Right, I got XC.
So still you're not able to connect. Did you see whether your Oracle is up and running?
I just installed everything, but I don't know how to check that.
Yeah, you have to check that first, because to make sure that everything is up and running.
Because it was the URL was given.
Okay.
That I could go to that link and then give my username and password. But when I click there, it says that is not safe to go to that website, and it didn't proceed further.
No. Okay, so I believe you will be seeing. So if you see a link out here, get started with Oracle. The same link you might be seeing in your machine also. Okay, so once you sign in, just double click on that, you basically get into this page, and click on the application express, and just give your username and password. What's the password?
I didn't get that the icon.
You should be having. You just try to find it somewhere from your program files. Okay, so if you see, if I right click and say properties, it is somewhere. Let me just ping you guys this path.
That icon should be on the desktop.
If you would have chosen it to save it in your desktop, then it will get into your desktop. Otherwise, you have to go to your program files and choose it from there. Okay. So I pinned you the path to everyone, and you just see if you have that URL somewhere over there. Okay, and just try to install that. Just open that. Once you open that,
Jairam. Actually, even I had that kind of problem before, but in the same page, what she's looking at, in the same page where it gives error that it's not safe and other stuff, but below there is a link to continue to the web page.
Okay, great. Yeah, Saroja, you can just try those things, those tips. Okay.
Yeah, I tried. I said continue, but still it didn't go to that web page.
Probably the username and password is wrong.
Alright.
Yeah, just try giving the proper username and password. Okay, and there's one more thing. Go to the Application Express tab, and you have to choose something like use existing, and if you click on this, there will be a database known as HR. So just click on that HR, okay, and give a password and a confirm password. Okay, here in this case, I've already chosen HR, so there is no point in choosing it right now. And use an like Application Express username is HR, password HR, and confirm password also at HR, and just say create workspace. Okay, so that will basically create an existing workspace which is already been given by your Oracle XC, so that you can directly come to your SQL developer here and just say right click new connection, and connection name, anything you can give, username as HR, password as HR, and these things will be as it is. Okay. All right. You can do one thing. Let's start up this course. If you still have any problems, we'll see you next. Okay. And Lydia says, I have MySQL. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine, Lydia. That's not a problem. Okay. But the thing is, I'll just give you the way the things which I'm going to teach you right now. you have to use MySQL drivers. Very well, you can get it from the internet. Okay, so I'll just tell you what are the drivers you require in order to work on this particular example. All right, so let's start up. So in yesterday's session, we spoke about all the theoretical part. Okay, we spoke about a couple of drivers. Okay, and here, as I said, we'll be talking much about your type 4 drivers. All right. So what are the things we basically need in order to hit the database and do all the connections and stuff and all. Okay. So there are basically 4 steps involved. One is first you have to import all the JDBC packages, then register your JDBC driver. Okay, and then you have to get the database URL, and then you have to create connections. All right, and then after that you can hit the database basically. So let us go one by one and see what all things we need to do. All right. So before even getting into any of the program, the very first thing is you need to have your vendor specific jar files. Okay. Now, if you have installed Oracle, you will be having the jar file somewhere. Okay, so I'm just showing it here. So just go to your C, Oracle XC, app, Oracle. Sorry, it is somewhere here. The Oracle XC, app, Oracle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for a jar file, JDBC start.jar. Okay. So I will basically use this. If you see the path of this Oracle XC app product 11.2.0 server JDBC library. Okay. So open file location. So this is the location which I'm going to ping you guys as well. So for MySQL, you need to have MySQL related jars. So very well, you can get it from the internet as such, I said. So just go to your Google and just say MySQL jar maven. All right. So you will get the MySQL related jar somewhere here. So you can just click the latest version out of it and you can download it from here. Okay. So for Oracle, you do not have the Oracle jars anywhere. So for that reason, I had to get it from somewhere else. Okay. So, but for Oracle jars, you will not find it out. Okay. There are some issues with this particular repository. You can download it from somewhere from the internet also. Okay. But if you have installed your Oracle XC, you don't have to download from anywhere. You already have it in your system. Okay. So I'm going to take this JDBC 6. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this for now, and I'm going to dump it in my libraries folder. Okay, so what next? If I open, okay, so the next step is put that in the class path, go to the properties and say add jar JDBC libraries, this one. Okay, you can even I could have even chosen by saying add external jar, and I would have selected the jar file where it was present right now, but in order to make myself more comfortable, I just copied the libraries in my library folder. Okay, and just say okay. Next, what next? All right. So already, as you see, we have spoken about. We have got the log4j.xml, and the same thing we are going to use it in our application. Okay. Now the second thing is let us go into the programming. The very first and foremost thing, in order to work with any of your JDBC programs, you have to import your SQL package. Okay. So there are a lot of different packages, different interfaces and classes we need. So at this point of time, I'm just, if I can just say java.sql.star, but to be more specific, in which all classes or interfaces which I'll be using, I have just imported that. Okay. So the bottom line is you have to import java.sql package. Okay. Now the next thing is before even doing this, as I said, you need to have all these jar files. Next is, in order to have my logger enabled, so for that reason I'm importing this one, the log4j. Okay, and then for each and every class wherever you are writing, you are using a log4j, you have to say logger.getLogger of JDBC program.class. Okay, this is how the standard it is. You have to say private static logger. Okay, now as I said in the previous sessions, the very first thing is you need to even get your connections. Okay, before even getting a connection, you have to basically register your drivers. okay, because drivers are the one which basically drives the complete flow. Okay, so if you see here, the very first and foremost thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the driver. Now, even when we have spoken about a static block, if you remember, static block is the one which even before your main method getting executed, your static block gets executed first. Okay, I could have put this piece of code in your main method also, but in order to make myself or to give you some extra information on how to use a static block, I have just used the static block out here. Okay, now in this static block, what did I do is I have basically, okay, let me just disable all these things. So this is not required, which we have already seen in the previous session, all these loggers. Okay, now if you see the static block, in the static block, the very first and foremost thing, you have to load your driver. Now where this driver is present? This driver is nothing but your Oracle JDBC driver, Oracle driver. Now where is this driver present? If I just say Control-Shift-T, this driver is somewhere present in my, where? In your OJDBC 6.jar. Okay, for that reason itself, I need this particular jar file. Which jar file? My OJDBC.jar. For MySQL, you will be having its own specific MySQL jar files. Okay. Even I can just send you this information on when you use MySQL, you're not supposed to use Oracle. It has its own specific driver. You have to use that particular driver. Okay. Next is you have to get the connection URL. Okay. Now, what is the connection URL? Whenever you talk about your thin drive, you have to say JDBC:/Oracle:/thin at the rate the localhost. It depends on in which particular system your Oracle is running. Okay, and this is the port number and this is your system ID. Okay, so this is what I have mentioned here. That is your JDBC:/Oracle:/thin. This is a standard again. Okay, there is nothing which you can write it by your own. All right, and here the only thing is, as I am running my Oracle in my own system, so it is a local host for me. All right, I hope you guys know about this. Even though if you do not know about this, when we talk about your advanced Java courses, we will be mostly dealing with your local host, because if you're running this running a server, so when I talk about server, my Oracle server is running in my own system, so it is somewhere running in my local system itself. So you say local host. Okay, so it is running in your port 1521 and the SID is your XC. Now if you see the same properties you basically specify out here, go to the properties, and if you see this is your connection HR password, it's going to be HR, and from your SQL developer also you just say host name as localhost, port number equals to 1521 and system ID is XC. Okay, the same information you need to specify from your Java application also. Okay, so the next thing is first we loaded the driver. So in order to load the driver and make sure that this has to be in a try and catch block, because for sure this is going to throw me a class not found exception. Okay, to be more specific, I can say here class not found exception. Okay, so this is basically, it throws a class not found exception whenever you see that during runtime it does not find a driver here. Okay, so if for example, let me even take out the library from my class path just to make sure to give you a sense of what basically happens. So let me just remove this and just say okay. Okay, now there are different ways we can load a driver. We can say class.forName. So this is basically whenever you want to load a particular class, you say class.forName. This way also you can load a class. So this is your first step, and you can even say driver my driver equals to new. You can even create a class out of it. So when you say Oracle driver equals to new Oracle driver, that also you can say it. Okay, your ultimate goal is to load a particular class. Okay, so and then you can just say driver manager dot register your driver. So you have to register your classes, or you have to register your drivers, because unless and until you do that, you cannot run your application. Okay, now the second step is you have to acquire the connection. So in order to acquire the connection, you have to say driver manager dot get connection. Okay, so this is again a step-by-step process, so you cannot skip any of the processes out here. You have to say driver manager dot get connection. So when you say get connection, it basically returns you a connection object. Okay, connection reference. So if you see this, the return type of this, your driver manager dot get connection is nothing but your connection. Now what is your connection? Okay, this is again an interface out here. We are going to just use this interface, and underneath it is going to get the hold of the connection for you. Okay, so that means when you say driver manager.get connection, it basically talks, it is ready to talk to the database. Okay, now here you give the connection URL and you have to give the username and password. So what are the username and password you have created, you have to give that over here. Okay, so these are all standards. Okay, so you cannot change anything out of it. And everything, these all things, if you see, goes into your try and catch block, because everything throws some sort of exceptions out here. Okay, and apart from that, I have put everything in a static block, because even before even running my programs, the one which I'm going to show you, I need all this informations. I can even put all this information in a main method also. Okay, I can just copy and paste it somewhere here. Okay. Alright, but I'm not doing it because I just want to show you some variations out here. Alright, so I just put that in a static block also. Now, what next? Right? So next is we are going to execute some queries, and we'll see how to write those queries and what all things we need to do. Okay. So the very first thing is we are just going to get into the select query, the very base which we are going to learn here. So I have already created a method, and in that I've got a select query, and I'm just passing a argument as 100 here. Okay, so don't bother about this right now. So just get into the select query. Now this is your input to this method. Okay. Now the third step, what you have to do, the first step we have seen is to load the driver. Second step is to get the connection. Okay. Third step is to create a statement. So when you say create a statement, that means you basically create a statement. With the help of that, you are going to execute the query. All right. So here, when you say connection con.create statement, it basically creates a statement object for you. Okay. And this statement object, if you see here, this is again a interface for me. Okay. So when I use the statement, so what next? After I get a statement reference here, I just say statement.execute query. All right. See, all these things are underneath. Okay. So it all depends on what kind of database you use. Now, suppose if you have the same table in different databases, you don't have to change anything out here. The only thing is you have to change the drivers here. Okay. You don't have to change any of the logic out here. The only thing is you have to change the driver, and then you have to change all these details. When you talk about your MySQL, you have to change a couple of information out here. Okay. Just a moment. Okay, so let me just open that, open a notepad. Edit. Okay, so these are the couple of information. If you are really interested in to work in your MySQL, then you need your MySQL driver. Okay, so I have as I'm using my Oracle, I'm just using my Oracle drivers out here. Okay, and if you want to use DB2, you have to use your DB2 drivers. For Sybase, you have to use Sybase driver. And for each, as I said, for each and every specific vendors, you have to install the specific jar files in your machine. Okay, I'm just going to ping you this information right away. There is no method, just static block. No, we'll be having methods. Okay, we are having methods, Adil. Okay. Okay, so next is, as I said, just go and say select query. Now here, when you get a statement, on that statement you have to say statement.execute query. All right, so when you say execute query, you have to give the complete query out here on which particular table you want to query. So already I have this information. So if I just copy this and paste it out here and just say equals to 100, the same query we are going to execute from our program. Okay, so if you see here at the bottom, I see the result. Why is this not giving me the answer here? Okay, anyways, it is giving me the answer out here, not in my query result tab. Okay, all right. Okay, so I got one entity out here, or one row out here. So the same thing we are going to see from my Java application. Okay. Now if you see here, the moment I execute this query, I get the result out here, right? So the same thing, I need someone to hold this result. For that reason, when you execute this query, so when you say statement.execute query, at this point of time, basically what happens, the query gets hit to the database. Okay, it goes and talks to the database the moment you say statement.execute query. So when you say execute query, you get some result from your database. Okay, so you basically store those results in a result set. If you remember when we spoke about your collections, okay, so we used iterators, right? So when you say iterator, when you say iterator.has next and next, the same thing here. From your result set, again you have to have the result set out here. Okay, so if you see this is again an interface for me. Okay. When you talk about interfaces and stuff and all, so there will be some implementation someone is doing it underneath, right? So it all depends on the driver specific, on what kind of driver you're using and what kind of implementation they have it, right? You don't have to take care of any of those things as well. Okay, we have already seen that in our core Java courses. So from the interfaces itself, I used to execute all the methods. So here, if this is an interface, from this interface, I just say execute query. So somewhere I have got some kind of implementation in my Java file, so that gets basically executed. Okay, the same thing out here. You just say stmt.execute, and if you see, everything is being driven using your interfaces itself. Okay, so it is always a best practice to drive your complete program using an interface. Yes, I got a question. Tell me.
Jairam, I missed the previous class, yesterday's class.
Okay.
Is this just a repeat or a review of the yesterday's class? I'm just asking you.
No, yesterday's class actually we spoke much about the theoretical part. Okay, and this is the real practical part which we are looking into right now.
Okay, that's fine. So the video would be posted, right?
It should be. As of now, I think it's not there. That's what I got complaint from most of the folks. But
that's fine. Whenever it's there, I'll review it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, but you're not going to miss the actual climax of the movie. So just stay tuned. Okay. All right. So next is you got your result set, right? So here I am basically interested in the result here. So I got the result, the same result which I got it here. Okay. Now it's your turn to print those information to the output, right? So I say while rs.next. Okay. So that's what I say, whether is there still any data present in your result set or not. I just say rs.next. If anything is present in your result set, okay, I just say, I come inside this while loop and just say rs.getString of 1, rs.getString of first name, rs.getString of last name. So this is a result set. From the result set, I'm just saying .getString of 1 or first name. Now if you see here, I can even just say copy this employee ID, okay, and just put it somewhere here, getString of. Okay, so if I execute the same program right now, let's see what's going to happen. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, the very first and foremost thing, we did a problem, we did a mess out here. The very first thing it says, no suitable driver found. Can we thread the connection so multiple client can use the same connection? Yes, we can hold the connection, Nadil. Okay, so we can hold the connection and multiple threads can even use the same connection. All right, but it is not suitable whenever you write in your core Java. It is not advisable to hold the connection all the time. Okay, so we'll talk about thread pooling when we talk about advanced courses, right? Okay, so here if you see, there is no suitable driver found because we had removed the JDBC jar from the class path. Okay, so if I open this up, okay, go to the package and reference jars. Okay, let me just first add it to the class path. Okay, now when I add that, you see Oracle JDBC Oracle driver. Okay, so this is what we are interested in right now. So let us run the same application again. We won't be having any issues because this will be loaded. So your class will be loaded here. Okay. So right click, run as Java application. Now the moment I run this Java application, I got the information as 100 Stephen and King. So what is 100 Stephen and King? If you see the actual database query from your SQL developer, you see employee ID, first name, last name. I am only interested in your employee ID, first name and the last name. That's what I'm able to query in the application. Okay, so if I take this up, if you see, I just told rs.getString. If you want to get the other data types also, you can just specify rs dot that particular column name here. Okay, so here if I want to say rs dot email, right? So I just copy this email out here and just say here rs dot get string of email. It doesn't matter whether it is in your lowercase or in your uppercase. Okay. Now if you just run this application again, run as Java application, you get it as sking. Okay, that's the email ID which is present in the database right now. Now if you want to display all the information, just remove this this where clause. I hope you guys know SQL. So okay, I just say select star from employees. So right click, run as Java application. So you see all the informations out here. Okay, so starting from all the entities which you see in the database. Can we thread the connection? Okay, the same question. Okay, so this is a very simple step wherein you open a connection, you create a query, and then you execute the query. Okay, and make sure that once you execute the query, execute the connection, I mean you execute a query, make sure you close the connection. Now in order to close the connection, I have added the piece of code in my finally block. Okay, there was a question, why do we need to have a finally block? This is the reason for me in order to close the connection, because let's say something went wrong out here. If I put that in the catch block, I cannot even close the connection. So finally I have to close the connection using my finally block here. Now if you see close connection, there's an API which I have already written. In this I'm just passing on the result set statement in the connection. So one by one I'm basically checking if the result set is not null, close the result as.close. If the statement is not null, close the statement. Okay, so if the connection is not null, close the connection here. Okay, the same way when we spoke about your input output operation, you basically used to close the connection between your Java application to the file. All right. Okay, so let us go back. So this is your first program wherein we saw how to query the database, right? So there are different variations. You can even have your where clause also. Select query has employee ID argument. Yes, select query has an employee ID argument, but statement has not arguments. Statement had the argument, right? Because we pass this employee ID, the same employee ID we're passing out here, and that too it is dynamic. Why it is dynamic? If you go to your select query here, if I want to talk about let's say employee ID 200, so this is a Jennifer. Okay, so I go back to my Java application and just say 200 out here. So this 200 goes to your select query, and this goes to my select star from employees, where employee ID equals to employee ID. Okay, I just passed this information out here. Now with select star in the last statement, yeah, I mean, see, as of now, if I run this program, run as Java application, I only see the information about Jennifer, right? Now as I'm passing this, even though there is an option for me to even not to take care of that particular argument, so I just removed this out here. Okay, nothing much. Okay, so when you want to use this particular argument which you have already passed, you can use that in your where clause. Did that answer your question, Saroja? Okay, all right, let us go and see the next.
Jerem, I have a question here.
Yep.
Jerem, I have a question here.
Yeah.
When we executed the second query, just select star for employees, that time, is it necessary to pass that argument integer employee ID?
No, because you see, when you talk about your actual, let's say, go to the database here. Now, when you say select star from employees, what happens is it basically gives all the information from the database. Now, you are not at all interested in. If I take this out here and just select and just say F6, it basically gives the information about all the employees in the database. I'm not interested about all the employees. I'm only interested about a particular employee in the database. So for that reason, I give a where clause. I just say select star from employees where employee ID equals to 200. So select this and run this. You can just say F5 to run this. So if you see here, I got only about the Jennifer itself. Okay. Yeah. Saroja, this all goes in your SQL or if you join the Oracle course, probably you will be able to understand these things because this is completely on the Oracle itself. Okay. All right. So there's a question from Adil. Just so that I understand, could you? Class has an argument. Which class has an argument? You're talking about this? Yeah, this is an argument in order to see from your if you want to run this query, sometimes you want to say 200, sometimes you want to say 186. So you have to pass some arguments to this, right? Or some value to your where clause. The same thing I'm doing it out here. When I'm using my select query, I can dynamically change this value here. So when I change this value here, so it comes to your select query, and from your select query, you are basically passing this information here to the where clause. Okay, so this is dynamic for me. No, there is an argument, right? I have passed with an argument. That's what, if you run this application right now, I see this right now, only Stephen King. If I remove this, then I get all the information about all the employees. Okay. So is there still confusion? I'm not sure what is confusing you here. Right, if you remove the where clause, it is just a query, the normal query. I'm not giving a where clause here. You just, Saroja, do one thing. You just go with this application, run this application, and we can discuss later. Okay. This is pretty much simple. I mean, I'm just dynamically passing these values here. Okay. All right. So let's just move on. The next program is your prepared statement, and let's see what is a prepared statement. Okay. So in your prepared statement, the only thing is, if you see the difference between your statement and a prepared statement, the time first in your statement you just get the statement here and then you execute query. But in case of a prepared statement, you just say connection dot prepared statement. The moment you just say prepared statement, you basically write the query out here. Okay, and if you see here in your prepared statement, you say select star from employees where employee ID equals to question mark and the first name equal to question mark. Okay, you're basically giving a placeholder to these question marks. Okay, you're saying from employee where employee ID equals to question mark and first name equals to question mark. Now, where are we supposed to fill in this particular information? I'm just saying prepared statement dot set integer. Now, what is my employee ID? What type of data is my employee ID? If I go back to my database and if I expand this and just expand my employees table out here, my employee table is basically of type number. Okay, employee ID is of type number. First name is of type varchar, or it is a string or whatever, and higher date is a date. Okay, so depending on the kind of data type you have it in your database column, the same kind of APIs you are supposed to use it in order to fetch the information. Now here, as you can see here, I know that my employee ID, this is my placeholder. So I am basically saying employee ID equals to question mark. That means I have to add a employee ID. Now what type of data type is that? Is an integer. For that reason, I'm saying prepared statement dot set integer. Okay, and I have to give this value, what value it is. It is very similar when you say select star from employees where employee ID equals to 100 and first name equals to XYZ. Okay, so instead of giving it, instead of hard coding the values here, I'm just dynamically giving all these values here. Okay, the same thing also goes here, but there is slight differences which we are going to talk about it right now. Okay, so stint, there is your set integer, there is your set string, and at last, once you are ready with your prepared statement, you just say prepared statement dot execute query. Okay, from here everything is same the way we saw it in your statement. Okay, so we have got statement, we have got prepared statement also. Okay, so what is the difference basically is when you use your statement, what happens is each and every time this particular query gets compiled, okay? But when you use a prepared statement, it gets compiled once, okay? And you keep on using this compiled statement every time, okay? But when you talk about your execute query, it gets compiled every time you hit the query. So in this case, the performance is slow, but in this case, the performance is high in case of a prepared statement, okay? So this is a prepared statement in the sense it is a pre-compiled statement, all right? There's no other differences. If suppose you want to have some more where clauses by giving some other dynamic values, you can specify with question mark and you can set those informations out here, okay? So this is my first index, this is my second index. So this is my first question mark, this is my second question mark, okay? Okay, so the same thing here also. I'm just saying,
one quick question. For the same prepared statement, can you say same prepared statement object, can you say prepare statement and then later on you can say create statement on the same object and then you can reuse it?
I didn't get your question, Madhu.
Can you reuse the statement object to create statement and as well as prepare statement?
No, this is different. Okay, this is your prepare statement is a different interface, statement is a different interface.
I see.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so here we are using connection. As we have spoken about connection, we have spoken about statement. This is a prepare statement, and we are going to talk about when we invoke the procedures also. So this is a callable statement. Okay. Now this third program, let us see what all things we can even create a table, as I said. So here it says create table. Let's say. Okay, so I'm just going to create a table now. That is your H2K table with table with an ID and a name out here. Okay, so what do I use here? I just say again the same thing. I use a statement out here. Okay, and once I create this, see, I do not basically need a prepare statement here because I'm just creating a table here. Okay, so I just say statement dot execute. Now if you see here, in these cases, where are the other? So I just say execute query because I know it is a query for me. Okay, so when I say select star from employees, I'm basically querying the database. And in this case also, I'm just saying execute query because I'm querying the database. Okay, in the third one, I'm just not querying the database. Instead, I'm passing on some command to the database so that something goes with the database. Okay, so here for that reason I'm just saying statement dot execute. So that means when I say create table name with the column details, so it basically goes and creates a table. The same thing if you just copy and paste it from your SQL developer, you can do the same thing. Okay, so as of now, if you see, there is no tables out here as H2K. Okay, so right click, run as Java application. A table got created, false. So let us go back. Where is that? Okay, so if you see, a table got created out here, and let us go and see the execute. Or okay, so it basically again throws your SQL exception out here. So this is how, I mean, you can do any kind of operations out here. Basically, it doesn't matter. You can create a table, you can drop a table. There is no restrictions out here. Now, you can even create a procedure also from your JDBC. So usually, what happens? You create a procedure from your from your SQL developer or from any kind of database tools. Okay. So in order to create a procedure, what you have to do is you have to use something like your if you see here, okay, you just need to say execute update here. Okay, and before even if you are not familiar with the procedure, you basically say create or replace procedure name, and this is your in parameter, this is your out parameter. Okay, as begin select employee.first name into employee name from employees emp where employee.employee ID equals to any of the argument which you're going to pass it out here. Okay, so here if you see, I do not have a procedure in your database here. So if I just expand this, do I have the same procedure? Show employee. Okay, so the procedure is not out here. So from my JDBC application, I'm just going to create a procedure right now. Okay, I can even drop a procedure from my JDBC application. So let me just execute this particular. Any questions from anyone, folks?
Yes, Jairam, I want to ask, what is a procedure?
What is a procedure?
Yeah.
Okay, procedure in in your database concepts. Now tell me, when you talk about calculation method, CAL calculation method. So in your calculation method, what you do, you basically say add value and you pass on some arguments to it, right? And in return, you just get one result. If you say 2 plus 2 and 3, you get the result as 5, right? So what is this? This is a function in Java wherein you're passing some arguments and you're getting some return value out here, right? The same way when you talk about in database concepts, you cannot have a function. I mean, you cannot have any of these kind of thing. You in your database, you'll be having procedures and functions also. Okay, you just invoke these kind of functions. You have some logic already present in your database. Let's say, for example, why do you need a procedure? Let's say I need some logic here. I need to query the database. Okay, so I say here I need to query the database. I need to query the employee table, and after querying the employee table, what I have to do is I need to get the information about your row number 181, row number 183. Okay, I club these two things and I want to store this information in a different table. Okay, I cannot do those things in a single query. So for that reason, what I do is I will basically need a procedure. I need a function in order to write the complete logic. So when I talk about a logic, if you see in my calculation program, I do some logic here, right? I say a equals to a plus 10. After that, I can even say b equals to b plus 5. Okay, so this is the kind of logic which I can do it in my method. So 1 line, 2 line, 3 line. Okay, so these things you cannot do it in a single query, or when you talk about your database concept, you cannot do it in a single query. So basically you need some kind of functions or procedure in order to execute those things in one by one line. All right, so for that reason you need a procedure or you need a function also. Okay, so these are all database concepts. Again, I'm just giving you on a very higher level. We will see even how to execute a procedure and how to write the procedure. We have already seen that right now, how to write a procedure. You just need to say create or replace procedure name, and this is your in parameter and this is your out parameter. And in parameter is something like you just give an input, and output parameter is one which you basically get an output from your procedure. Okay, so
H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.